Welcome to this tutorial explaining how to create a project area map for Round 9 of the Affordable Housing and Sustainable Communities Program, or AHSC. Applicants can use this resource to create a project area map, which is required to upload for the AHSC application. This tutorial is a supplement to the agency Round 9 Project Area Mapping Guide shown on the left side of the screen. This tutorial will show how to create a project area map using Google My Maps. While applicants may elect to use ArcGIS to create the project area map, instead they must still map the required components detailed in the guide and upload the resulting map in a KML or KMZ file with their application. The example I will be using is not a past AHSC project. Additionally, the guide focuses on how to map the components and will not go into detail on how to select each scoring category. For those requirements, please see the AHSC Round 9 Guidelines, which is available on the AHSC Guidelines page. Now we're going to go through the mapping guide. To start, there is a table of contents that lays out the items at a high level. The summary captures all components to map. If you are familiar with Google My Maps and would just like to know what AHSC components to map, that would be the place to start. Applicants may either choose to download a template to start mapping or create your own map from scratch. The mapping guide has instructions for both methods. The video tutorial will cover how to start by downloading the template. So first we'll go over how to download the template. To download the template. To download the template, you're going to copy the link from the guidance and paste it into your browser. This should bring up the website, the Google My Maps website. If you're not signed in, you'll see a blue icon on the top right that says sign in. You should go ahead and click that. As you can see, I am already signed in. To note, you can paste this link into any browser, but it's recommended to use Chrome. Once you sign in, you can see that you are signed in by the change in icon at the top right. Once you've done that, you're going to go ahead and click the three dots to the right of the template name. And you're going to click on Copy Map. From there, you can edit the template name. And you're going to use the ID number given to you through the portal, and you're going to replace the project name with your AHSC specific project name. Since this is an example, I'll use the number 01 and I will call it AHSC project. And I'll click OK. And this should open up the new tab with the template map. And as you can see, it includes all of the layers, including the base layer, the AHSC funded components layer, and the radius layer. The first thing we would map on our template is the radius layer. This is optional, but mapping the radius layer will help applicants get a sense of what their project area is. Project area is defined in guidelines as the contiguous circular area measured from any single point inside the parcel of the AHD. The point may be chosen anywhere inside of the AHD site and must be used and referenced consistently through all application materials in mapping and calculation of distances. Projects that are made up of scattered sites must choose a single point in any one of the AHD parcels of the applicant's choice. For TOD project areas and ICP project areas, the radius must be no greater than 1 mile. For RIPA project areas, the radius must be no greater than 2 miles. For TOD, so first we're going to make the radius layer. So to make the radius layer, first we need to get the GPS coordinates of our AHD site. And to do that, I'm just going to navigate to Google Maps, and I'm going to, for the sake of this video, pick an address in Sacramento. I'm going to click on it, right click on it to get the coordinates right there. And using the instructions and the mapping guidance, I'm going to go to this address to make our radius. So I'm going to input the coordinates into the center. Radius value will be 1 because our project area radius is 1 mile. And I'm going to set the units to miles. Keep the multi-geometry the same. And then generate the radius. Then I'm going to download it. Now that we've downloaded the radius file, we're going to go back to our map, and under the radius layer, click Import. And it should be in Downloads. It's right there, so I'm going to double click on it. And there we have our project area radius, which is 1 mile around the AHD. So I put my center in the radius layer, but it is actually belongs in the base layer. So what I'm going to do is click on it and hold it and drag it up to the base layer. And you can tell which layer you're currently on by that thin blue bar at the left there. So you can change between the layers just by clicking on them like that. Now I need to give a name to my AHD. So I am going to click the pen icon and change the name to the project name. For the sake of this demonstration, I will just call it AHD project. We can change the color of the AHD to something more noticeable. So let's do a blue. Okay, now we're going to map the qualifying station or stop. I am going to put mine at that intersection right there. So I'm going to first click the add marker icon, place it there. And this is going to be my qualifying stop. I'll save it there. Make sure it's in my base layer. Okay, and now we are going to map the pedestrian access route in the base layer, which goes from the AHD to the qualifying transit stop. So we're going to do that by drawing a line, clicking this icon, add line or shape, and we are going to draw the pedestrian access route starting from the AHD. It is going to make a turn here, so we're going to click it once and then keep it going to the qualifying stop, and it'll end there, so we'll double click it and we'll call it the pedestrian access route. Um, Save it, and if we want to change the color, we can change it here. I'll make it blue. And there we have the components of the base layer. And now we will move on and continue mapping the AHSC funded components layer. To make sure to switch between the layers, you click them and you know which one you're on based on that thin blue line on the left being there. Okay, now I'm going to map my bikeway. So I'm going to do that by drawing a line, add a line or shape. And it is going to come down 10th Street, past the project site, and it's going to make a right on Q Street over to 16th. I'll end it there. I'll call it bikeway on 10th Street, and it is a class 1 bikeway in the GHG calculator. So we'll note that. Okay, and now to map the existing bikeway used to meet scoring section 111 QPS A2, we'll use the same instructions on mapping a line. So our existing bikeway is going to share a cross street with the context sensitive bikeway. So I'm going to put mine on 12th Street. Going down, it'll meet our context sensitive bikeway at Q Street. Continue going down to U Street. And that will be our existing bikeway. 12th Street. Okay. Okay. Now I will map walkway improvements, or at least part of them, just for the example here. And again, we'll draw a line. Our walkway improvements will go from L Street down to P Street. and we'll call it walkway Ninth Street. And I'll note in the description that it's part of the safe and accessible walkway. And it is listed in the GHG calculator. Okay, and now we will map our new pedestrian facility, which we can say is a walkway along P Street. So we'll map it like that. New, new pedestrian facility. And then we'll note that it's listed in GHG calculator. And I'll change the color in this one to make it orange. Okay, now we are going to map we're going to map some transit improvements. So I will map a bus shelter, and I will put it here on 9th and S Street. We'll say there's a bus stop there. And we'll note in the description that it is local bus and listed in GHG calculator. Then we'll map transit signal priority installations. And we'll say that they will be built along a few blocks on S Street here. Right there. And right there. And we'll call those transit signal priority. And we'll say it is bus line A improvement. That's our bus stop. We'll change the color of it, kind of distinguish it to a light green. And we'll also note that that is line A, a bus line A improvement. Can abbreviate to TPS. Okay. And then we have a few, we have a few transit improvements mapped. Okay, now we are going to map our key destinations. And remember, our key destinations need to be within a half mile of the AHD. So we'll use the measuring tool to make sure that is the case. So I want my first key destination to be a grocery store. You can see here that we have a Safeway grocery store there. So I'm going to see if I can use that. And it looks like that is more than half a mile from the AHD. So I will come up with another grocery store that can be located right there. So I will call it grocery store. We'll call it Vaughn's. We'll say that's a Vaughn's there. That will be one of our key destinations. It looks like it's in the wrong layer here, so we'll move it up to the AHSC funded components layer. And then my next key destination, let's see if it could be this credit union right here, because that is an eligible key destination. And it looks like that is within half a mile. So we will locate it there. Credit union, safe. And those are our two key destinations. Now remember, if you look here to the right in our project area mapping guidance, we have these tools for locating key destinations around your site. So you can search for an eligible grocery store, medical clinic, child care facility, public school, and post office using these tools that are in the written guidance. And make sure to map all key destinations within a half mile of the AHD and key destinations within a quarter mile and half mile of each bike and pedestrian project listed in the active transportation tab of the GHG benefits calculator tool. For QPS scoring, each key destination category may only be counted once for points. For GHG quantification, multiple of the same type of key destination may be counted. The quantification methodology assigns a credit to a facility's proximity to a key destination for up to 7 destinations. It's not necessary to identify more than 7 key destinations within a quarter mile and within a half mile of each new facility. For both facilities that meet multiple categories, example, a grocery store with a pharmacy, may be counted toward multiple categories and do not need to be mapped twice. Okay, now we have here all of our required components of the map. Your map will obviously have more components, but we've just provided at least one of all of the different categories. And we want to just do a final check that all of our components are within the 1 mile project area radius. And they are. So that looks good. So now we are going to download. Okay, so to download our map, we are going to click on the 3 dot icon here. and click Export to KML KMZ. We'll download the entire map. And now we have it there on our computer, the KMZ file. And we can use that to upload to the application. So before we finish, there are just a couple things to note. Number one, if you go on to our website, which is sgc.ca.gov/AHSC, you can submit a question there. We have a round 9 Q&A form for any round 9 specific questions you may have. You may submit it into that form, and we respond within about 4 business days. And you can check the form. The question and answer will be published there. If you have more general questions that aren't just specific to round 9, you can email our program email account, which is ahsc@sgc.ca.gov. And we typically respond within a few business days to those inquiries. A reminder, our application deadline is May 28th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And thank you very much for listening to this tutorial. Hopefully it was helpful, and best of luck on completing and submitting your applications. Okay, thanks.